Hi, everyone. This is Sasha, a staff member at Foster Kinship, and this will be a video on how to create your account with Access Nevada to apply for child-only TANF. So applying for child-only TANF is a pretty simple process online. There is one particular step that I think can get a little bit confusing, but that's okay because we're going to go over that today. So the first part is creating your username. I always advise my caregivers to keep their username very simple and very easy, and then write it down somewhere and can keep it safe because people can lose their information and then we're kind of stuck. If you've ever created a account before using the Access Nevada, using a particular email, that email will forever be associated with your Access Nevada account. So unfortunately, there is no way around that. So if you use a particular email, a particular username, make sure to record that somewhere, either on your phone or in your notes, and keep it safe. I'm just going to go through, fill in my information. Now for the password, I again keep it very simple. Let's just do capital W welfare 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and an exclamation point. I want to agree. This takes a minute. Continue. Now there's no bypassing the security questions, so that's okay. Just pick your easiest questions. And then you're just going to write it in. Now, what I typically do or tell my caregivers to do is click the eyeball button and then you can see your answer. I always just try and either take a picture with my phone, so I'll remember my answers later, or record my answers on a piece of paper and remember it and save it and remember it for later. Now it's going to kick you out and make you log back in. So let's do that. Okay, and here is our account. Now, if you're applying for cash assistance, you're not going to click cash assistance here. And I will show you why, because this will come up. This is to link your account. So this is if you've already applied for cash assistance previously and you're trying to link your previous claim to maybe a new claim or to your new account, something along those lines. We're not doing that for the purposes of this video. We're applying brand new for our benefits. So we are going to apply for benefits. We're going to go ahead and start. If you are applying for food assistance, you can check that off. If you're applying for medical assistance, you can check that off here. For the purpose of this video, we are just applying for cash assistance, which again is child-only TANF. You also have options for childcare assistance and WIC assistance if you guys needed that. After I check my box, I will click next. Make sure you read through and agree. Pretty simple. We are just going to fill in our names. This first part here is just us. This is information about ourselves, not about the child, but about us. So it says, what's this relationship to you? Again, you don't even have a choice here to click anything else because this is self. We're going to click next. Now, this is where people may get stumped a little bit, but this is the most important. This is what's going to indicate to welfare worker that this is a child-only TANF application, because we are not applying for any services. The child is. We're, of course, applying on their behalf because they are minors. So we're always going to pick not applying. Next, this is still information about us. So last grade person completed. A good rule of thumb here is you're more than welcome to go through and fill out every single information possible. However, my rule of thumb is if it doesn't have a red asterisk by the questions, lets me know that it's not a required question for me to answer. So if you want to leave that blank, you're more than welcome to do so. If you feel like, oh gosh, this is so tedious, this is so overwhelming, or whatever the feeling is. So you're going to fill in as much as you feel comfortable doing so. This question is going to come up a lot. It's just asking if you are a American Indian or Alaskan Native. It's going to do that for like all members that you put down in your household. Now, I'm not applying, so I don't have to put down my social security number here. Again, it says optional for non-applicants. I am the non-applicant. When you guys fill out and submit this application, you will get a call from the caseworker at welfare. I'm thinking the turnaround time right now is about 1 or 2 weeks. They may or may not ask for this, and that's okay. Anything that they want to know from me, I'll let them know during my interview. But for the purposes of trying to just fill this application out, maybe perhaps as quickly as possible, I don't necessarily have to put this information in regarding my social security number. Now, if you've been married and have a maiden name, things like that, you can go ahead and click that and fill out your names here. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to click no. Next. This question, who is completing this application? Go ahead and just put self because it's you that is applying. Then you just read through the questions. Do you have a physical or mental condition that requires special accommodation? No. Yes. Next. So this is the asterisk I was talking about. This question I absolutely have to answer, and that's fine. But I don't have to answer when did I move to Nevada. So I'm just going to leave that alone. If the welfare worker really wants to know, they can ask me and then I can answer honestly. Now, this is a very tedious thing, but that's okay. So we're just going to put in our street number. If you have an apartment number, you'll fill that in. Actually, this address is in North Las Vegas. Click next. Again, all of this information is still regarding me. I don't have to put in any of this other information, but I will go ahead and put in my email. Click next. For authorized representative, you can add your spouse or significant other if you wish to. If you want the information to come to foster kinship, for example, if you're working with a foster kinship staff member, you're more than welcome to put in our information here. You do not have to. All this means is if your claim for your benefits were to come back denied, we would get the letter along with you and it would let us know why you were denied, and then perhaps we can kind of act on your behalf to figure it out. Again, this is completely optional and not something you need to do unless you absolutely feel like you're going to need assistance. Let's say that you felt like you really did need assistance and from us, from our foster kinship staff, you can just go ahead and put faculty. You'll put foster kinship here. You can go ahead and put in our address, but again, if it doesn't have an asterisk, you do not absolutely need to do that at all. Oops. That's it for the address portion. I can be authorized for cash assistance. So this one, emergency contact, you'll put someone you know, but I'm just going to click next for, or yes for this one, and then save it. Next. And then it's going to take you to fill out your emergency contact. You can put down any trusted individual, or you can put down nobody and just leave it blank because again, there's no asterisks here. So I don't have to complete this section. Just up to you. Now, this is where we actually start to really apply for our benefits. So we're going to move on to people, begin. So self is already on here. And what I want to do is I want to add member. I'm going to put the child's information. maybe I should pick someone like that's actually not an adult. So again, this is the child's information, so there is no options for single, as you guys can see here. We're just gonna put never married. What's this person relationship to you? Of course, if you're applying for child-only TANF before July 2020, you have to be a blood relative to the child. So we're going to just use our simplest one, grandchild, but there are options for nephew or niece, sibling, first or second cousin, other relative, things like that. Since this is the child that I'm applying for, we are going to now click cash assistance. Next. For my example, I used the child is born in 2019, so of course my imaginary child wouldn't be going to school, but I would say if you are taking care of school-aged kids, please fill out their school information. It just kind of helps, and I believe the caseworker at welfare will ask for the information regardless. So at that point, you can put down whatever grade your kiddos are in, and everything about their school, their ethnicity. So here, because the child is the applicant, we do need to have their social security numbers. However, it is very common for kids in foster care to not have social security numbers. If you do not have your child's social security numbers, that's okay. If you're able to request help from your caseworker in either obtaining the number, or if the child was never assigned a social security number, what welfare will have you do is reach out to the caseworker and have them write a letter confirming that this child doesn't have a social security number, things like that. For the purpose of this, let's say that our family that was applying did have it. So all you do is fill it out. This next question is, if you do not have a social security number, but you have applied for one, when did you apply? Of course, this is still talking about the child. Typically, for our kiddos, we cannot apply for social security numbers on their behalf because we are not their birth parent or their legal guardian or anything like that. So we are just going to leave that blank. Has this person used any other names? No. So at this point in my household, I have myself and my kinship child. We are going to add every single member in the household that is a blood relative of the child. So that is your biological children. If you're married, you will absolutely include your spouse in your household. So let's do that part next. So fill out their information. Spouse. For everybody who is in the household that is not the kinship child, you are not applying for any benefits for them. So make sure you check that off. If there is a mistake and you check off this, there is a likely chance your application will be denied. So make sure just to be extra careful in this particular area. Since this is regarding my spouse's information, and again, I don't see an asterisk here, I am not going to fill out any information on their schooling or anything like that. Social security number, you're absolutely welcome to put down your spouse's social security number, things like that. If you don't have it handy or whatever the reason is, you can leave it blank. If the worker needs to have this information, they can ask you over the phone. So now in my household, I have 3 members: myself, my spouse, and the kinship child. Let's say I have biological kids, or I have my parents, great-grandparents of my kinship child living in the home. I will put that down. Even if you have adult kids living in your home, you have to put them down. If you're wondering about roommates, including them into your household, that is a very gray area depending on what your roommate situation looks like. You're always welcome to give us a call regarding your household if you have like specific questions about it. But if they are not a relative to the kinship child, you don't have to put them down, especially if they're just like a roommate who maybe perhaps contributes to rent or something. We can put that particular person down in a different section, which I will show you. So the next part goes over the household information. You do not have to click add on anything that doesn't apply for your household. So for example, is anyone in the household over the age 65 blind, disabled, or unable to work due to illness or injury? In my household, no, right? Because I don't have that. I'm going to leave it completely alone. However, let's say in a different scenario that they did, I would click add, go to my drop-down menu, and click the person who has the disability. Then we have to answer what kind of is the disability or whatever it is, and then when the disability began. I'm going to click cancel just because we don't have to add that in. Is anyone in the household a US citizen? So let's say that in my household is a non-US citizen, I'm sorry. I would click add. And you kind of go down the list and pick whichever one applies to you. If they're here legally and they have their green card, you click that one. You select their country of origin. And I know that this comes up as states, but if you keep scrolling down, the country will come up. You select when the person entered United States, the document type, so if they are here on their green card, with their green card, you'll click that. The document number is on the green card, and you will absolutely need to have this number. They will definitely ask you. So I would say go ahead and write this number in if this does apply to your household, and complete the questions. After you're done completing this, you will click save. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to click cancel. Is anyone in the household currently in school? This is where you will add if you have school-aged kids, because you want to let welfare know that these kids are in school. So you'll just select your child's name, their status, full-time, type of school, elementary, name of school. I leave this blank because, I mean, we know that the kids are going to graduate when they're in high school in however many years. If you don't feel like doing the math, that's completely fine. But I got the important stuff in there. You'll go through the questions and again add as necessary. So this is where we are talking about our kinship child's biological parents. It is a requirement within child-only TANF that we comply with child support. So we do have to answer to the best of our knowledge about birth parents. So we are going to add. I don't know, I'm going to make up a name here. So this portion, I always fill out mom's information first. So first name, last name. Sometimes we may not know mom or dad's information. Just go ahead and put down as much information as you can. If you don't know mom's last name or dad's last name, you can just put Doe, or you can even actually type in unknown. If you've had contact with them within the last few years, you can just put that down. If you've never met the parents, you'll leave this blank. If you have their address, you'll put that down as well. If you don't, leave it blank. That's fine. If you have their cell phone number, please write it in. We want to comply to the best of our capabilities when trying to apply for this benefit. If you don't know their phone number, leave it blank. Click next. I try to answer as much as I can regarding the parents' information so welfare can see that I at least try to answer some of the questions. And of course, okay, there we go. Again, if you know their date of birth, please put that in. Just try to have as much as you can. Perhaps maybe some of this applies to you. You'll fill it in. This part is asking who is the custodial parent, meaning who is the child currently with. They're with me, so I'll put you'll put your own name. And then who is the child, so we pick the child's name. This is the part which explains the good cause. You are going to state that you are claiming good cause. You're more than welcome to read this through on your own, but this is just simply providing you with the information about applying for child-only TANF or applying for TANF in general and applying for it for good reason. Save. Now, I want to add dad's information in. Even if dad has never been involved or we don't know who dad is, doesn't matter. We have to add dad, so click add. Maybe we have their first name. And if we don't have their last name, let's just put unknown. And you can't have any spaces there. Let's say we don't have any information about dad. Unfortunately, I will just have to leave all of that blank, and welfare is more than welcome to ask me in my interview where dad is, and I can let them know dad has never been involved in the child's life, or whatever the situation is with the biological father. I'm doing the same thing. I am answering to the best of my knowledge about the father. As far as I know, he's not deceased. As far as I know, he's never been married to the biological mother. As far as I know, he's never been divorced. So, yep, answering all of that through. Same thing, who is the custodial parent, meaning who's the child currently with, yourself, right? And then who is the child, little Johnny. Same thing to do with this one. We are claiming good cause, and then save, and that is it. If you are taking care of multiple children who may have different mothers or different fathers, you will have to add in each biological parent to the child you're caring for. Click next. Same thing here. If this does not apply to your household, we are not adding. So please read through the questions. This one states, have you or any member in your household receive TANF, medical assistance, food assistance? If you're receiving SNAP benefits, you will add that you are receiving that. Everything else you can leave blank. This is the portion that asks about charges to like felony offenses or anything like that to do with like law enforcement. If it applies to you, add it. If it doesn't, read through. Don't have to add if it doesn't apply to you. This one stating that you have read and answered all sections correctly. I have. The next portion is your income. In regards to your household income, you will have to add all members who are working, again, who are blood relatives. So you'll add that in. If you're receiving SSI or disability or anything like that, it's considered unearned income, right? So we'll click that. Let's say that my spouse is receiving SSI. Some of the other options are retirement and pension, which can be common. If you previously adopted, there's options for adoption subsidy if that applies to you. Many different things. Just pick whatever type of income you are getting. For the purposes of this, I'm going to say SSI, monthly amount. That's it, and you save. Then I go back in and add again. If you are getting unearned income, let's say you're also getting SSI, you'll put in monthly, same information, save. If you have your own biological children that are getting child support or they're getting something, or you're getting alimony, you'll add that into this unearned income category as well. Now let's say that you're working, you'll add that here. Click add, who's working, myself, hours worked per week. Oh, I'm sorry, hourly pay. Let's say hourly pay is 12. Hours worked per week, 30. Paid Biweekly, employer name, you'll fill in your employer's address, employer's phone number. Even though it doesn't have an asterisk here, I am going to fill it in because no doubt they will absolutely ask you about your income information. You'll save. Same thing, let's say that you have a biological adult child living in your home. You will absolutely add their income information here. Same goes for your spouse. And you'll save it. For the purpose of this video, we'll cancel. If anyone is self-employed, you'll add it here. Does anyone in the household have any other type of income? We can click on this just to see what it looks like. This one, you can put down where you get maybe like rental income if you have a roommate. You can put down how much your roommate contributes. They give that to me monthly. Last received last month. When you have your interview with welfare, they will ask you a little bit more about the roommate situation, and they will call and verify with your roommate or whoever non-blood relatives in the home how much they contribute to the household. So they will confirm that information with them. Again, you just go through the questions, only add when it applies to your household. Click next. We're all done with the income and we're almost done. Resources. Does anyone in the household have a bank account, direct expense account? You will absolutely have to add this. So just go through, bank, account type. You will have to provide the bank statements to welfare. They do ask for that. And we'll talk about needed documents and what to do about the needed documents in just a moment. Do your best on answering the questions here about your bank account, because they're going to require proof regardless. Save. You're going to add again, let's say I did put joint account there, but let's say if you didn't have a joint account, you'll add your spouse's information here as well. Oops. For the purpose of this, I will cancel, but again, you'll add it in. They will ask about your vehicle registration possibly, so you can add your vehicle information here. Type of vehicle, year, make, model, if you owe anything on it, go ahead and do that. And then save. That doesn't apply to most of us likely. Again, if you have any of these apply to your household, you will click add. Next up is our expenses. Here we will put self. Rent is however much it is. Is the rent subsidized? If you have like Section 8 housing or some sort of housing voucher, you can put yes. If you don't, no. Is rent shared? If you have a roommate, again, contributing to your household, you'll put yes. If no one is doing that, no. Rent is typically monthly. Does this include heating and cooling? Typically it does not. And just answer the questions to the best of your knowledge. You will have to have your landlord's name and their phone number because welfare may or may not contact them, but I always include it in there. We'll save. This one is asking, does anyone in the household pay court-ordered support to someone out of the household? Again, add if necessary to your household. Leave it alone if it doesn't apply to you. Next. Okay, so we have filled out our information, filled out our household information, filled out our income information, filled out our other resources, filled out our expenses, and we're ready to submit our application. So we read through, agree, agree, agree. And then again, I would spend some time kind of reading this over. Read that through. Read that through. This next part is asking if you want to upload any documents. For those of you who have a formal case, meaning that there is a open CPS case and the child was placed with you through CPS, you got a placement letter. If you have your placement letter, if you could take a picture of it or have it on your computer or something, like perhaps the caseworker emailed it to you, it'll be in your email. You'll save it to your computer and you will upload it because your placement letter is what can prove your relationship to the child. If you are an informal family, meaning you're caring for the kinship child through temporary guardianship or legal guardianship or something along those lines, we will need to supply welfare with the child's birth certificate. They will also ask you for proof of pay stubs or for bank statements or for social security letters, something like that. And they will ask you for your identification card. Anything that you have, you can take a picture of from your phone, send it to your email. From your email, you can save it to your computer. If that is a little bit too complicated, which definitely understandable because we're not all tech savvy, that's completely fine. You can wait until you have your interview over the phone with your welfare worker, and they can walk you through how to supply them with the necessary documents. Typically, what the worker will have you do is send them an email with all of the information that they need regarding the pay stub, bank statements, etc. And they'll give you direction on how to obtain it. Let's say you have all your documents, you will click here, it'll pop up, and then you can select the document and upload it. It's pretty simple. Then you'll click next. Or I guess I didn't upload anything, so I'll click back. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to say no. This one is just voting information. I always click decline to answer and click next. So here we have just release. You'll click through and click next. The next part is correcting the addresses. Honestly, I'm missing like one tiny little dot, which is no big deal, but you can resolve that. I'm obviously not going to submit this application because this is just a example video, but once you've resolved the small address issues, whatever comes up, you'll click next and there will be a section to then submit your application. This is the very last part, and then it's going to ask me to submit. I'm not going to do that because, again, I don't want my application to actually be submitted. Let's say that you went ahead, fixed the weird address situation and submitted, actually click submit. Your application will show up here. On my end, it says incompleted application. However, once you've actually submitted your application, it's going to say completed application, in which case you can click on this and it's going to take you to your information again, and you'll be able to check the status of your application and see if it's pending, if it's denied, if it's approved. Again, you will get a call from the welfare worker regardless within the 1 or 2 weeks. So you can always keep an eye on your benefits online at My Application. That is it for our recording. If you do have any questions regarding applying for benefits, even if it's food stamps, medical assistance, anything like that, or if it's follow-up questions to this video with cash assistance, you can give us a call at Foster Kinship, and our phone number is 702-546-9988, and anyone really can help you with the TANF questions you have. Thank you, guys.